We are the keepers of the flame, the sacred order. Let the ceremony begin.
And today, faithful acolytes, we take a look at this. And what this is Pepper's WildBerry Whoop-Ass Primo 7-pot and WildBerry hot sauce. Of course, WildBerry, all that means is more than one berry. And let's take a look here. Now, I will say this. As far as copy, these guys got the copy pretty much on. So you get, as you can see here, strawberry and blueberry teamed up with the Primos. There is a bright berry flavor and smoked meats. It does go well, pretty well with lighter meats, I think. Used very sparingly. They're not responsible for misuse. And so when we get to this part, now this is definitely a screamer. This is not. It's not, I would say, near the hottest I've ever had, but it definitely does pack a substantial punch. And this is one of the few I think I've had with Primo. Primo's not one I run across a whole lot, but so we start with Primo mash, and then vinegar, honey, strawberry puree, blackberry puree. Now I will say this, as far as balance, I think that choosing fairly subtly flavored berries without either dampening the pepper's flavor, I'm not talking about the heat, just the flavor, somewhat does lead to a bit of an imbalance as far as what I would prefer. I would have liked a little bit heavier on the fruit and a little bit less on the pepper, but I suppose you could add a puree to this if you really were inclined. But you can see it's actually fairly runny for a fruit-based sauce. And you open it up and the first thing you get is those notes, those heat notes. There is not a restrictor cap, which makes sense. You wouldn't really want one on here. And let's throw a little in here. So you can see it is fairly chunky. Ooh, here we go. Okay, it is fairly chunky. And you can see it flows relatively well. It could stick better. I wish there was actually more honey in this. But you can see it's got this, it's a very reddish color. It leans a lot more heavily towards the darker tones of like a really ripe strawberry. Of course, adding the blackberry in there definitely moves it more towards the darker hues as well. But it's very red. There's really slight tinges of orange a little bit on the edges, but it's for the most part a very red sauce. It's very pretty. And let's get right into misusing it. Ooh. Not a good way to have that. So we get a note of fruit, a little bit of strawberry. There's a lot of grit in there. And initially you get a little hit of fruit. So I said I wish there would be more of that in there. I wish there'd be more honey. You get a little grace note of that, and then you just get slammed with the bitterness of the Primo. So what I have here is a cheese and cracker plate. Milton's original multigrain crackers. And we've got some different cheeses here. We have one called Beehive Promontory. We have Pecorino Tartufello. I believe this one has black truffles in it. We've got Gouda, and I have some soft cheeses too. I'll just show you those. Muenster, Margaux Brie, which is a creamier, not quite as bitter Brie, and Philadelphia cream cheese. And so we're going to have us a jelly cheese plate using this hot sauce. All right. We'll see how this goes. So let's start with, we're going with the harder cheeses first. Let's start with this Promontory. It's a very subtle cheese. And I think a problem with that is it's super easy to get overpowered by a super hot. All right, that one didn't combine well, I don't think. So I'm going to skip that one, and we're going to move on to the black truffle one. Now, I have tried all these solo. This was not one of my favorites, is Pecorino, but we'll give it a shot here. I always try to find new uses, ugh. Wow. Wow, that is an awful combination there. So far the hard cheese is not working well at all. Man. I need a palate cleanser after that one. Alright. As I was saying, I try to bring you guys new applications, new stuff, rather than shooting the same old food every single time or using that strictly for testing. So this one did suggest cheeses and smoked meats. Here we have smoked cheese, which is the Gouda. This one I have high hopes for. That is quite good. Yeah, that is quite good. You have the smoke working well with the sauce, plus the creaminess of the cheese sort of blunting that bitter edge a little bit. That's quite good. In fact, it's so good, I'm going to have seconds of that one. And I'm not going to make the mistake on these. I'm not going to sauce everything. I'm going to sauce one at a time next time. Good cracker base. A little bit of heft to it. Very neutral. Alright, that's going to do it for the harder cheeses. Now we get into softer ones. And again, Muenster, Grand Margaux Brie, and cream cheese. Alright, be just a bit judicious with this. Just the bitterness of this sauce can be unpleasant. Oh guys, I'm doing it again. I'm saucing the whole thing. Well, alright, whatever. I was just going to sauce one at a time. Does this video constitute abuse yet? Are we abusing the sauce yet? I don't know, I shouldn't make fun of that label because it actually is pretty accurate. There is a substantial heat component to this, and that's why I said in the video it's for chili heads only, or people experienced in this. I'm going to actually just try this This one I put on this Promontory. I'm gonna try this solo. This is sort of like a creamier version of cheddar, I would say. So that doesn't work. It did work very well in the Gouda. And I will put a list in the description below, along with the link to the review, if you guys want to read the review, and also if you want to know what the cheese list is, in case you're inclined to try this yourself. Muenster is interesting. Or Muenster, if you prefer. That's quite good too. You can really read strawberries well with the Muenster. It's good. I'm gonna come back and eat that one, but I might get to these other ones before I fill up. These are kind of big crackers. So I think I'm gonna choose them with more of this cheese. This is a Grand Margaux Brie. Wow. Wow. Outstanding. Outstanding. This is wow. Wow, wow. I'm gonna eat that one too a bit later here. I'm gonna end this with the cream cheese. Got rivers of it on this one. And it's building up quite nicely here. I am using cheese, dairy, so it's blunting a little bit of it. But I'll tell you, these things are still kicking through that quite notably. All right, here we go. Ooh. Those don't mesh. Oh, not at all. Wow. All right. You know, this might come down to quality of cheese a bit too. You know, cream cheese is good for certain things, not so much for others. All right, so I'm just gonna have the Muenster by itself. And I gotta have that Grand Margaux again. Oh man. Whoo! Getting hot. Getting hot. I want to tell you. Oh man. That Grand Margaux Brie is so good with this. The Gouda was also. I think I'm a tie between those two. Yeah. Burning, guys. I'm burning. So, I don't know if I got into abuse. Here's the cheese list, which of course, like I said, will be found below. Most of the cheeses were from a local company called Murray's. So the Gouda, the Muenster, the Pecorino, Tartufello, and the Grand Margaux Brie, all from Murray's. Beehive Promontory was the first one. That was the other one, sort of cheddarish, and Philadelphia cream cheese. We all know what that is. So if you guys want to try it, I will tell you this: a high quality Gouda, high quality Muenster, excellent. I love those. I didn't like the black truffle cheese at all, either with or without. That one you can skip. Cream cheese I think is good, where you can allow its subtleties to play. This is a sledgehammer, so it just smashes the subtleties all to bits. This, in high doses by itself, is extremely bitter, which is honestly unpleasant. A Grand Margaux Brie, outstanding. If you can find that, get that also. The Beehive Promontory, you probably don't have it where you are, you might. If you can find a fairly mild cheddar, that's about what you're looking for. Maybe a creamier cheddar, and that varies of course, but something like that is kind of where that was. And I didn't like that. I didn't think that worked. I think you have too strong tastes and they just clash. They just butted heads. So pairing cheese with jellies and things like that is honestly kind of a lot of fun, and you can tinker out that. I've never actually tried to do it with a sweet hot before, so this is a really interesting experiment. I enjoyed it. Like I said, I do wish this had slightly more honey and definitely a lot more of a fruit ratio to the heat, but aside from that, it's very interesting. It's probably one of the better strawberry ones I've had. So yeah, Pex Peppers, WildBerry, whoop ass.
Now go forth in peace to serve the flame.